Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Dominika here, and today I am coming to you with a 3-day long live event called Give Me the Impossible. For those who don't know me, I work as a spiritual teacher. I am a channeler and energy healer. And as a channeler, I work mainly very closely with Yeshua, known to many of us as Jesus. Although at times, if you hear me calling him Jay, know that I am referring to Yeshua. I hope you all are doing absolutely amazingly well. I am sending so much gratitude for all of you that are watching me on Facebook, on YouTube, and on TikTok. I have to say that most recently, when I started to commit myself and commit my work on much deeper level to the words that I am receiving from Yeshua, there is more of you coming in and more of you opening up and sharing my content, which I'm very grateful for. And this event is not my idea. And the first thing I wanted to emphasize with is that this is not a commercial event. There's not going to be any sales after the event. This event, whether you are going to watch it live, whether you are going to watch the replay on Facebook or maybe a recording on my YouTube channel, it is being created simply for you. It is being created and initiated by Yeshua as a simple but very bold and loud message that he's sending out to all of you that may be struggling, and there is many struggling, yet still the choice is yours, what you are going to do about what I'm about to share with you for the next 3 days. And everything that I will come to you is mainly written down through the channeling, and everything that I will be sharing comes from Yeshua. So today I would like to start with the vision in my mind's eye that he gave me actually today, as I was rewriting the notes that I was taking yesterday for today's event. And he said to me this, Dom, if you were to look at humanity, at this planet, and see it from the bird's eye view, what you would see is a tremendous depth of disconnection, tremendous depth of the feeling of being lost, tremendous disconnection from God. There is no space, literally no space in many people's life where I could squeeze in and not make them do anything. Do not make them pray. Do not make them praise me. Do not make them change their ways, but at least to feel me, to hear me where I'm saying I am here. And I can't tell you what you should be doing. But if there is anything you would like to surrender to me, know that I can do anything for you, because this is how much I love you. There is many different reasons why, as humanity, we are disconnected on so many different levels. He said to me clearly, the spirit of humanity is becoming dead. We are becoming a dead within humanity, population. And this is something that breaks his heart, because the help, support, and most of all, unconditional love is always available for all of us, regardless of what we have went through, regardless of what kind of people we have been, what kind of sins we have committed. He is still loving us exactly the same. So he initiated this event as a loving whisper. Again, he is not here to tell any of us what we should do and what kind of choices we should make, because God will never force himself onto us. God will never step in and tell us what we should be doing, because we have the free will choice. But God will most definitely over and over try to remind that we are being loved, that we are so deeply loved. And this is what he is trying to do through this event. Additionally, if you will feel it resonates with you, if you feel burdened, if you feel that you are struggling with something so deeply heavy and difficult, and you just don't know how to overcome it, whether this is a physical matter, whether this is some form of lack, either of health, of money, anything else in your life, whether it is some kind of illness, whether it is a relationship struggle, what he is saying to you today, use the comment section throughout this event to leave your comment. What do you wish to surrender? What is being so heavy on your heart and you simply don't know what to do about it, yet you never decided to go and give it to God because you simply do not believe that God would take it and deal with it for you. Because somewhere down the line as humanity, we completely lost the faith that someone can actually lift us up. That if we actually give something to God, that he will actually do it. We are so full of doubt and we have so very little of trust and faith. So many people call themselves Christians, yet we are so, as I said, deeply disconnected, that even though we go and we preach and we teach and we call his name in the circles, when it comes to full surrender, when it comes to full trust, when it comes to full faith, when he is often asking us to trust with our own life, because sometimes we can place ourselves in such a difficult places, in such a difficult situations, where there is so much that we can lose, or maybe we already lost, that in this moment when he's coming and give the impossible to me, give the most difficult to me, we are struggling to trust that he can take it and he can do this for us. That he can keep his promises that he was given over 2,000 years ago. And I will tell you from my own experience, the trust issues caused me so much pain, caused me so much sorrow, brought me so much loss, that I felt also very, very much dead inside, until I start responding to the call that Yeshua was constantly sending my way. And he was constantly inviting me to surrender the most impossible problems, issues to him. Why? Because God and Jesus, they don't want to see us suffering. The true purpose of every single life is expansion, is growth, is the journey back to remember that we are this love, that we are one with the divine, that there is no lack. Yes, it is a school. Yes, we come here to learn many different things. But I think we all can also agree that within the school of life, things became so out of control and so full of control that we can really call ourselves a deeply lost population, a humanity that got really, really, really lost. And as I was saying, God's desire for every single child is to feel free and to know that this freedom comes through the trust, through the faith, that no child was never abandoned, that no child should suffer in a loneliness, in a solitude, that no child was ever rejected, abandoned, that every child is always infinitely loved, regardless of the circumstances, that every single child, every single human being has the right to live in an appropriate way, honorable way, that everyone has the right to grow, to expand, to connect with God. But the reality right now is being created so what is being our main focus is most of the times fear and lack. The reality is that because of this fear and lack and the control, we are constantly being hooked in the past, or we are trying to predict the future. And this is not the way to live. And God shared with me a beautiful, beautiful life hack a while ago. He said to me, no, Dom, you already know that there is just one now, that everything is happening in one now. But do you realize that because of that, before you even know it, that there is something you need? Maybe this is something physical. Again, maybe this is money. Maybe this is a physical person. Maybe this is an idea. Maybe this is an inspiration, healing, whatever it is. Do you know that because there is just one now? And do you know because God loves all of you so much that whatever you desire, whatever is needed in your life, it is already being placed in the right location for you to find it? Do you know that in fact God loves you so much that you do not need to search for anything? That you never should chase after anything? That everything is already being provided for you before you even know that you need it? If you would willingly let go of all of the control and allow God to simply guide you to the place, to the person, to the situation, where you can find the solution, where you can find the answer, where you can find the person, where you can find the finances, how much easier and calmer your life would be. How much easier in this kind of scenario it would be for so many of us, if not all of us, to actually connect, to finally stay in the now, to finally connect to the divine, to finally stay present in the environment that, by the way, always speaks to us. What do I mean that the environment is continuously always speaks to us? The environment, the reality we are looking at every single day, it's not really there, but this is an expression of us. If it is an expression of us, it is an expression of all of our distortions, all of our control, all of our beliefs, the good ones and the bad ones, but it is also an expression of the divine within each and every one of us. And the divine God within you is always trying to communicate. And some people will say, for example, I've seen feathers, I've seen some numbers, I've seen some synchronicities. I think universe is trying to say something to me. The truth is that universe, God, is talking to us all the time. There is no breakup in a communication. There's just one now. And God always speaks. And this is the beautiful thing that I discovered for myself. And I shared maybe on a couple occasions that I think it was when the lockdown started. And we were all put in an isolation. And we all had to become more present with what we have around us. Many people start to do their gardening. Many people start to use their savings to spend on alcohol, for example. What I was doing and what I was clearly guided to do by the Spirit was to observe. simply observe the external reality. And as I was observing, without going into the depth of what I have learned on how to decode the external reality to know what it says to you, I did realize that God is talking to us, speaking to us all the time. But mainly when we are fully out of control. I mean, that by those means, I'm not meaning that we are out of control and doing crazy things, but when we are not trying to control ourselves. And what happens then, you will realize that, for example, when you are going for a walk and you are not stuck in your mind and you are not there, therefore you are not stuck in your past, you are not hooked to the future, and your mind, your head is turning in a very uncontrollable way, you just look at the surroundings in a very unplanned, uncontrolled way, if you will stay very, very present and very, very surrendered in this process, very aligned in that momentum, you will see that actually your eyes, your subconscious, the God within you, is directing your eyes, your vision onto all those places, little aspects within your whole reality that are the symbols, that are the message, that are the communication that you're supposed to receive at this present moment. But we are running through the life, right? We are running through the life and we are becoming more and more disconnected for many different reasons. And as we are becoming more disconnected, as things are becoming difficult, the more we are trying, of course, to control things. Even though we are aware that whatever is outside of us is simply an expression of us and there is nothing that we should be fighting with, it is an automatic response for many of us from those wounded places where when something difficult is happening, we either want to run away from it or we want to control it, we want to change it. There is no moment for many of us where we would think, why won't I surrender that to God? Let me give it to God because I honestly don't know how to deal with that. And because we simply are lacking this trust, because this is such an unusual way of dealing with problems. We are so used to fighting. We are so used to this struggle, this constant conflict, that giving something to God, maybe little tiny things is okay, but big things, and eventually our whole life, seems almost ridiculous, unimaginable. And I know because that's me. I was such a controlling person when it comes to creating my own life. And to be honest, when I start to dive into all the manifestations tools, I find that I am learning something that will support my life, but in fact that created and brought more control. I became even more controlling because of, trying to chase the manifestation process. And I became even more frustrated because the manifestations weren't working. And when I was becoming frustrated, I was becoming angry with God. God, why are you manifesting things for other people but not for me? But God wanted a different path for me. God wanted to show me something much deeper, so I can then come and share this with others, because God will always use us as his testimony. And so with today's message, with this 3 days long live event called Give Me the Impossible, he is, again, simply reaching out to say, if there is something that you feel is absolutely impossible, that is out of your reach, something that you don't know how to solve, he is asking to use the comment section to post it. What is the impossible that you want to surrender today to me? What is the health issue that you would be willing to surrender today to me? Who is that one person that you are worrying about and you would like to surrender that worry to me? What is it that you feel became such a burden for you that you are willing to surrender to me? And you can leave it in a comment, or you can just simply say it in your heart. But the more of you will join and leave the comments, the more you will use the written word, the more you will respond and engage directly to his words, the quicker you will see his response. Be brave. Allow yourself to say no more and enough. I didn't come here to suffer. I didn't come here to live with this burden, because in fact, I don't feel like I'm living at all. I've been living in lack, I've been living in poverty, I've been living in fear, I've been living in disconnection from myself, I've been working hard, yet nothing is working out, and I feel alone, and I feel abandoned, and I feel rejected, and I know it's not true. So today, God, I am surrendering all of that. Because many of us brought ourselves to this position where nothing is working out in our life. That was me as well. And Jay kept sending me those nudges. Surrender. Surrender the control. Surrender the control. And I can share with you one beautiful testimonial. Tomorrow I'm going to share another testimonial. If you have testimonials to share, please also leave them in the comments. I'm going to share with you one testimonial where I thought something was impossible. It wasn't the biggest testimonial of my experience, but the bigger one I'm going to come and share with you tomorrow. But I'm going to share with you a very beautiful and even a little bit funny testimonial on how God completely shifted my reality the moment I decided to surrender. Some time ago, I found myself in a situation where I had to move out from the house, from a property that I just sold. The new owner wanted to move in, but I was completely unable to find a new place for myself and my son to live in. The reason for that was that the rules of renting the house, the property, have changed over the last several years so much, and I was always owning a house, that I did not meet all the very crazy requirements, and there was always like 30 people applying for one specific address. And after being rejected so many times, after being told that with 2 dogs, there is no way no one will rent a place, an apartment, a house to me, that with new business, without any accounts and any proof of income, I will not be able to be accepted by any agency. Therefore, I should be looking through potentially private landlords or through the word of mouth and things like that. So I let go completely of agencies. I started to seek for properties through private landlords. The more closer I felt, the more hope there was. I was always still rejected until I lost my hope and I didn't know what to do, because the sale of the house that I was living in was already signed. And I knew that whether I want it or not, we just simply have to move out. And I became so tired. I was looking like, honestly, I would say already homeless person, because I was just so occupied with searching for the property and packing and boxing everything that I had in the house. And I was dealing with everything on my own. And I was angry, I was tired, frustrated, really exhausted. I didn't care about myself at that time because I was simply too tired to do so. And eventually when I got another rejection, I said, you know what, God, you deal with that. But I didn't even say it with the true deep intention of surrendering. I simply said it literally out of anger. And I just said, you know what, God, you deal with that. You look for this apartment, you look for the house for us to live, because I'm simply too tired, I'm exhausted, I can't go like that anymore. The next day, the following day, I went for a walk with my dogs, as every single day. And suddenly I am getting a call. And the person on the phone says that he is calling from some kind of agency, which I immediately said, so you have the wrong number, because I have not applied for any flat or house through an agency. And he's saying, no, you definitely applied for one. And I knew I did not apply for any property through the agency. And he asked me simply why you do not want to apply for a property through an agency. And I said, well, because, you know, I have been rejected because of this and this specific reason so many times that I don't want to waste your time and I don't want to waste my time and raise my hopes and so on and so on. And I gave him all the details. I told him about the situation with my employment, with dogs, with everything. And he said to me, why don't you still come and at least have a look at the apartment? And because I didn't have anything else to do that day, I thought, you know what, okay, I'm just going to go and have a look. The moment I entered the place, I knew that this is my dream come true place. It was the most beautiful apartment I ever been in. Everything was exactly as I would choose, as I would design, as I would make it. My eyes were opening like massive portals, literally. But then I came downstairs to this agent and I said, but as I said, of course, I like the place. But as I said, first of all, probably you won't be able to accept me because of the dogs, because of the employment. And secondly, I know that with this kind of place, after seeing the number of people currently applying for properties to be rented, I know that you must have at least those 30-40 people waiting to see this apartment. What he said next shut my whole system down for a moment, because he said, actually, I already spoken to the owner of the place and he doesn't mind the dogs. Secondly, I already spoken to my colleague within the agency, and she said that as long as you have someone who can be your guarantor because you have a new business, then you can still apply for this flat. And the third thing that he said was that, yes, they had a lot of people applying for this place, very much interested, because it was honestly the most beautiful penthouse I ever seen. And he said for some reason, every single person that was booked for for the viewing today, before you and after you, suddenly everyone cancelled and it's just you. So if you want to pay in the deposit today, the flat is yours. I could not believe. That is the first testimony I can honestly very happily share with you. But there are some more sadder stories from my life that I may potentially share tomorrow. It is not the point. The point here is that with this message, give me the impossible, Yeshua is coming in. As he came to me not such a long time ago, when I knew he sent me one specific client. He showed me, he said everything to me. He said, Dom, I am sending this person to you because I have a specific plan for his life. I am sending you this client for a channeling session because I want you to say what I would like to say to him. He is in a very difficult situation right now, and he really needs faith and trust. But I have made great plans for him, and therefore I need to make this connection with him. And the first thing he said, say to him, give me the impossible. And as I start asking him about the impossible, he brought into my third mind's eye the scene from the Chosen series where Peter, one of his apostles, one of his disciples, it is happening just before Peter's surrender. He was still a Simon, then he was Peter. It was just before Simon got to know Yeshua, Jesus. And he was struggling financially. He was in a massive debt. He didn't know how to come out from it. He was facing potential loss of freedom, potential loss of life because of the debt he accumulated. And of course, there is this scene where Jesus is asking him to put the net back into the water, where after a whole night of Simon trying to catch anything, he didn't catch a single fish. Why? Because he was in control. He wanted to do it himself. He wanted to be the one that saves the situation. But God had a different plan. And when Jesus stepped in and he says, put the net back into the water, he says, I'm not going to do that. I've been trying my whole night. I tried yesterday. There's no fish. There's no fish in the sea. And Jesus very calmly says, put the net back into the water. And I think we all know what happened next. Within seconds, the net was filled with fishes. And within matter of hours, Simon paid all his debt back. But before he went and paid all his debt back, he surrendered fully to Jesus. He surrendered to his master. And the same happened, similar situation happened with absolutely every single disciple. Every single disciple. And you know what happened? You know what is the symbolism in this? That sometimes, you know, when life is bringing us to those moments when we are fighting and we are trying to control and we are trying to save ourselves and nothing is working, and this is the only moment we will finally, when God will step in, when Jesus will step in, and he will say, give it to me. And if we will give it to him, he will say, follow me. Now follow me. He will create as testimony within our lives experience, because he can utilize absolutely every difficulty we went through. He can make us create asset from every struggle we ever experienced. But if we will decide to step in a partnership, if we will decide to step into this communion. So I had my session with the client, and I said to him immediately, this is what Jesus asked me to say to you. And we had a longer than 1 hour conversation. And then we had more. And when I'm seeing what is happening in his life, and when I'm looking at Jesus is transforming his trust and faith, and when I see what he's doing, how he's testing him, but I see he's standing there. This is the most beautiful experience I ever seen in a client. This is why I decided to bring those sessions with Jesus and make them available to everyone. I had a very similar situation where I was actually watching the series of The Chosen with Jesus probably 3-4 years ago. And as I was going through my difficult time, very difficult time, and I felt very unworthy of Jesus. I felt that because of something in my life, one specific thing in my life, I felt completely unworthy of Jesus. And the episode that I was watching that specific day was called Invitations. And in this episode, Jesus is calling in all of his disciples, one by one. So the first one that he called in was Simon. But then in this episode, he's calling Matthew, he's calling Big John, Small John, and all of that. And as I said, the episode is called Invitations. And in every single scene, Jesus goes to the disciple and he says, follow me. You are invited. And as I was watching this episode, I ordered some Chinese takeaway. And they gave me a fortune cookie. And I am opening the fortune cookie, and believe it or not, but the little tiny white paper says, you are invited. As I'm watching, Jesus inviting his disciples. And I believe that it wasn't a coincidence. But at that time, those 4 years ago, I felt that it was a joke. And I didn't feel worthy of being his messenger, of partnering with him, of trusting him, trusting that he can do something for me because of my sins. But he's constantly proving me wrong. And he has so much love for all of us. So to start this beautiful 3-day event, Give Me the Impossible, I am giving this message to all of you who are watching. I am saying to you who is watching right now directly, what is the impossible issue, problem, struggle, worry that you are carrying in your heart and is eating you up, and it's making you sad, and it's making you feel at times maybe that you don't even want to be alive, because I've been there. I know it's possible. What is the impossible that you would like to at least try to surrender to Jesus? I asked him, why do you want to call it Give Me the Impossible? And he said, the impossible ground is the best ground upon which we can rebuild our communion. The more impossible, the less faith, the less trust, because the mind is telling us this is too big to be solved. God will never do that for you. You better trust me and my ideas. I will show you where the solution is. And then we fall deeper, deeper into struggle. I'm going to speak in more details tomorrow about the dynamics of the control that our human mind wants to hold, and how is that actually creating more problems. But today I simply want to focus on this message. Give me the impossible. Because as I said, the bigger the impossible, the smaller the trust and faith. And I guarantee you that the bigger impossible you give to him, the bigger house you're going to build with him. The bigger, the more firmer, the foundation will be stronger. Because this is the ground that you will rebuild your communion with God. And if you will choose to fully surrender, I will take you in the coming days on how to actually step into this full surrender and how to walk through the surrender so the mind is not taken over, so the darkness is not trying to derail you. So anything that will be trying to stop this surrender and your evolution and your communion with God and the solution of all your problems will not interfere, and you will be able to have a brand new start, brand new beginning in your life. This time as a whole being. This time not as someone who feels rejected, abandoned, sad, lonely, and in lack, in illness, but someone who has this beautiful, strong, firm foundation, trust and faith that absolutely anything can be done when we surrender to God. When we choose God above every single doubt. When we choose God above every single worry. When we choose God about every single little thought in our mind that may say to us, God will not do that, God is not real, you are unworthy. That's the ground he will be rebuilding his relationship with you. But as I said at the beginning of this video, God will never go and force himself onto anyone. God will never go and say, this is what you need to do. But God will always come and say, I love you. And if you are willing, I will take care of it. But you need to give it to me first. You need to show what is your choice. And I'm not going to make that choice for you. I'm not here to tell you what are the good choices. You need to listen to yourself. And you need to follow that voice within your heart. So this is the initial first message that Jay asked me to start sharing with bigger audience. Give me the impossible. As I said, if you feel okay with that, leave in the comments what do you want to surrender. And it can be anything. He also said very specifically, if you or any of your loved ones are in need of healing, leave it in a comment and know that is done. Whatever it is that bothers you, this is the time to start rebuilding that foundation. But I can't make that step and choice for you. I can send my messengers. I can send those who channel me. I can send feathers and synchronicities. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it is you who will have to make a decision. What will you follow? The fear or me? So tomorrow I'm gonna come back with very specific messages again on how to step into full surrender, what is happening in our lives and the reality once we step into full surrender, how to protect yourself, how to help yourself throughout the surrender, how to not let the mind take over and start controlling your reality all over again, the ego aspect, how to switch that off, and also how to protect yourself from any darker energies, and of course absolutely anything else that will come through Jay's advice and whatever he will ask me to share with you. For now, it is a very gentle and loving invitation to listen. Are you happy? What is the worry that you are carrying within you? And then ask yourself, whether are you ready, whether you want to deepen your relationship with God, to truly start inviting him into your life, to truly make space for him, and actually realize that there is no more real thing, no more real frequency than him. I am sending you all so much love, and I will be waiting for your comments mainly on YouTube, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye bye.